What up, gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragon, we are going to be reviewing Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, the retail version of Marvel Zombies, published by CMON Games in conjunction with Spin Master, and designed by the same people that designed Marvel Zombies, Michael Shinall and Fabio Cury, based on the original Zombicide by CMON Games. Now, with that being said, I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So this is a cooperative game that is intended for ages 14 and above. Plays
1 to 4.
1 to 4. I was going to say, I had to check that out, but yes, I wasn't sure if it was 2 to 4 or 1 to 4. I think I said ages 14 and above.
Yes, well, I mean, it's got the zombie theme, so it's going to be for a little bit older players. Depends on how your kids feel about zombies. You could definitely play this with younger than 14. So what will you be doing in Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance? Well, unlike Marvel Zombies, you're going to be playing as some of the heroic versions of the characters, even some before they have become zombies, like Wasp. You're going to be moving around the board, completing different objectives-based scenarios. So you might have to pick up objectives like this green one here, might have to save some bystanders, and then make it to the exit point in order to advance the story and, keep being heroes as long as you can, because it is the zombie apocalypse. Now, the difference in this compared to Marvel Zombies, heroes have their superpowers, which will generate every turn and allow them to do really cool abilities, while the zombies have the hunger. So that's the real core crux of the difference between playing heroes and zombies. And don't worry, we'll talk more about it when we get into our review. On that note, we are now going to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend and fellow hero. We're going to take it to the table one more time. Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance. Now, there will not be a how to play section of this video. If you'd like to see how to play, check out the one that we did for Marvel Zombies. There are just some small differences in this game, which are the heroes' powers, which I'll explain right now. Every turn you'll gain power. It'll go up. You can spend it on different resources, or you can spend all of those powers to get extra dice. So if you've got 4 on Winter Soldier here, you could actually roll 6 dice. Unlike the hunger, you don't roll those extra dice all the time. You have to actually spend the resource. Then another difference are the combat bystanders. So for example, Okoye, they're actually not going to be moving around and engaging with the zombies like you do see in the Marvel Zombies, not the Heroes Resistance version, but they will be able to defend themselves and not necessarily get eaten. So those are the core differences. The reason I'm talking about that is we're going to take a look at the rulebook, and they are written in this rulebook, and it's quite clear. If you've played Marvel Zombies, you won't have to worry about Heroes Resistance. The rulebook is largely the same. It's very well laid out, and I really didn't have any issues going through it at all. You've got your nice handy-dandy hero mode reference guide, and then all the different hero mode missions. Unlike Marvel Zombies, there are no zombie missions included, and this stuff is compatible with Marvel Zombies, so you can take this into the game and actually play hero mode if you like. Now, these are the same tiles that were in Marvel Zombies. You're just getting 4 of them, which give you a couple of different scenarios, and the game is really balanced around 4 characters. We'll take a quick look at the tiles, but if you do have Marvel Zombies, you've definitely seen all of these tiles before. Now we're just going to move across, so we'll take a look at the bystanders because we started showing them. I might have moved some of them off camera then when I picked that up, so I'll push them up. So in this game, you do get Pepper Potts, Sharon Carter, Agent 13, Okoye, Wong. I think the standees turned out pretty well. J. Jonah Jameson, and Happy Hogan. Here we've got the objective tokens, which are red, or green and blue. Now the green and blue ones are also double-sided for red, so you can use them as needed. You've got the Avengers sign, which can be thrown. Here is the Avengers sign reference card. I'm just going to move this off camera now that we got a chance to take a look at it. We've got the bystander reference cards here. So this, as you can see, you got a couple combat ones, and then you can see the special abilities that they have. Here we have the Marvel Zombies heroic traits. As you can see, you got that power resource, so unstoppable, discard when attacking, spend 1 energy, 1 hero power to lower their toughness. You get lots of cool stuff like that. We're not going to go through the entire deck. We'd be here forever. So here are the 4 zombies that take place, like, the Abominations. We've got Doctor Strange, Captain America, Scarlet Witch, and Iron Man. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these poses may be slightly different than Marvel Zombies. So if you do pick this up, you get some different sculpts at least, which I do think is pretty cool from CMON and Spin Masters. Here are the 4 zombie hero cards. So you can see what their abilities are and their toughness. We'll look at the zombie cards in a second. I want to just finish off looking at the tokens, the doors, and as you can see, green and blue doors. Also, when you flip over the doors, when you bust them down, you can see the broken open version. We've got a few different spawns. So the first spawn, standard spawn, green and blue spawn, and then the exit. Up top here, we just have the dial for the heroes to track experience. And then we've got the heroes activation token, which, you can flip over when you're done your activation. So now we looked at all the tokens. We're taking a look at the zombies. We have our dice here, just standard D6s. You can see you've got the teeth symbol, which represents the 1. To track your players, you've got 4 different colors. You can see the different color bases around the heroes, and these are the sliders that go on your hero card. So we'll just take a look at the different heroes. We've got Spider-Man, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Hulk, really like that Hulk sculpt, Wasp, and Vision. So we'll take a quick look at the hero cards. I don't want to spend too much more time on this stuff, but we'll look at their base blue abilities. So Winter Soldier, each time you attack with Combat Blade, you may automatically eliminate 1 walker or runner in your zone. Pretty cool. We've got the Heroic Rescue for Spider-Man. Once during your turn, you may spend 1 power to move 1 bystander or 1 superhero from an adjacent zone into yours. While swinging the munitive sides, you get to ignore target priority when attacking, and you do not spend extra action when leaving zones with enemies. Very cool. Vision Adaptive Strength. When drawing heroic traits, you may draw 2 and select 1, and then you shuffle the other one back into the deck. Hulk, Gamma Rage. You have 5 health, and at the start of each of your turns, you gain 1 power for each wound you have suffered. Then Black Panther, we have Hard Slash before attacking with Vibranium Claws. Now if you're wondering what those named abilities are, you can see the named attack right there. You may spend 1 power to have enemies suffer -1 toughness and may reroll any dice. So very strong, very good stuff. And there you have it. We've taken a look at all the components. So keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of the game. So Julie, what did you think of Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance? And I'm really eager to hear your thoughts because one of your favorite things about Zombicide is the table presence. And we have the Zombicide Travel Edition, which you weren't the biggest fan of, but you liked it because it had a great table presence for a compact game. And now we've got this version of the Heroes game. So go for it. Take it away.
Well, I'm gonna say let's first look at it not comparing it to the original, right? Because it's a separate game, and I would say just looking at this, it's fine. I mean, the dials that we have here are nice. They work well when you compare it to other games that we have. It's not a table hog. And the card stock, and it works. I'd
say the one thing that I don't like is the little the trackers. They They do the job. They don't damage the cards, so that is a plus, but they're definitely not my favorite. Having the plastic trays, I think.
Well, I prefer the standard Zombicide. Now, from what you've mentioned, though, the price point isn't the same.
No, this is like less than half the price, depending on the version of the game that you're getting. This retails at Barnes & Noble for about $35 USD, so it's about $50 Canadian instead of 100 and something Canadian or $80
So,
US.
I mean, so it's good. When you compare it to others, the table presence is fine. We still have minis for the heroes. I don't mind the standees for the zombies and
they look good. I mean, you got nice color standees, so you do get that character aspect
and
that
they're
comes out.
sturdy compared to others that we've seen.
Yeah, works well also for the bystanders.
I am not the big, I mean, this is nitpicky. Whatever, it's cute that there's teeth, but it's really confusing because you see the teeth come up and you're like, yay, that's 6. No, that's teeth. That's 1.
Yeah, it works better for Marvel's Zombies, not the heroic version, because when you see the teeth, you know that you have to raise your hunger level because you got a 1. So that actually is a big difference between the hero powers, which we'll talk about in a minute. But when it comes to this heroic version, they probably should have just gone with a standard dice. Now, I assume it's because of the factory where they're making it, having 2 different dice molds is just a lot easier because some of the stuff is fairly similar. I actually think a lot of the cards are similar, that they just made one run and then assembled the packaging a little differently. I mean, these tiles are the same tiles that you get in Marvel Zombies.
So, I mean, that's all I really have to say. It's good compared to others at equivalent price, but it's not the table presence of the original Zombicide.
And one thing I will say about this, because we're only getting 4 tiles, I really think that this works best at 4 players. We played it at 4 players. We played all the different heroes. We just played a couple extra games. We usually like to play with 3, but the game flows very well at 4 and plays incredibly fast. So that is definitely a big plus, especially when you're looking at this version with only 4 tiles. I think with 6 tiles plus that you get in Marvel Zombies, or you're going to get in Marvel Zombies, the Heroes game, but X-Men Resistance. This is Heroes Resistance, the other one's X-Men Resistance. I think 6 players will work just fine. A lot of this stuff can actually be combined with Marvel Zombies. So all of these hero cards that you have and the heroic trait, that does mean that if you do have Marvel Zombies, you can take these characters and play with the heroic missions that are included in the original book. You also do get, I believe, some different sculpts for the heroes. There is a slight difference with Spider-Man's hero power as well, compared to the one that's going to be coming in, I believe it's either the Stretch Goals or X-Men Resistance. So you are getting some new content for the game. Also, the scenarios in this book are their own scenarios, and this is kind of like a prelude to what's happening in the storyline, even though it's very much a loose storyline of Marvel Zombies and X-Men Resistance. I mean, if you take a look, Hulk's a good guy, so is Wasp. When you get Marvel Zombies, they've gone the other way and been infected by the zombie plague. I'm going to agree with Julie. I do think the table presence is good for what it is and the price point. It's not my favorite, but I don't think it actually hurts the gameplay or the experience on the table at all.
So, when you compare it, when you compare the heroic traits, or not the heroic traits because that's the cards that you pick up, but each of the powers that the heroes have, they're fine if you don't compare them to anything else. They each get to do their own things. They're not created equal. Some of them are a lot cooler, a lot more useful than others. Hulk was a huge disappointment to me. When we played our first game, I sat down and Jason had given me Hulk, and I'm like, oh, cool, nice start to the game, because playing Zombie Hulk was awesome. But Hulk is puny in this game
compared to Zombie Hulk.
Yeah.
Now, one of the big reasons for that is, and this goes into the conversation about how the heroic powers work and how power compares to hunger. So heroes will gain power every turn. You can spend power to do different things. Some will work with bystanders, some may work with your different traits, and it's pretty cool. You will not be losing power if you happen to roll a 1. But you do not roll extra dice. Whereas with the hunger, you're rolling extra dice, which does mean that you can hit a lot harder, but you do get more chances of getting 1s. You don't have that. You actually have to spend the dice to hit harder, meaning, you know what? Taking out some heroes, excuse me, can be fairly challenging because you might only get one nice big shot to take them down. Now you can do the power-up function, which will gain you 2 power, and you can do that a couple of times during your turn, depending on the actions that you have. So, a few different opportunities, but you definitely feel weaker. Whereas when Hulk would get mad, take more damage, he'd be just basically smashing, getting in range, munching on people, and having a good time. He doesn't feel like that in this game. Also, he's got Gamma Rage, which just lets him build more power, and the zombie version of him just takes down everyone's toughness by 1, which I think is just a much, much better ability, period. But I like the way the heroic powers work. I think it's a good adaptation. I think it's thematic, and I like that you don't suffer any penalties for it. But being a zombie definitely feels cooler, at least so far with what we're seeing from the heroes in this box.
Yeah. Excuse me. And I mean, that's fine. And I think we've played a lot of Zombicide. We've played a bit of Marvel Zombies now, having played with the zombie heroes. I don't think that this is my favorite version, and it's funny. In hindsight now, it's probably would have been better if we'd played it the opposite way. I was a little bit disappointed that we were starting with the zombies. I'm like, I don't like being the bad guy. I don't like the thought. But, if you go back to that video, one of the key things I said is I kind of forgot that the good guys had become bad guys by being zombies. It was just fun to play it. This time I was kind of like, meh, honestly. I mean, not that it wasn't fun. It's an okay version of Zombicide. And
there's one thing that we need to note here is that this is the version put out by Spin Master specifically for retail. That's why it's at Barnes & Nobles and a couple other locations. It's designed to be a better entry point. So if you've seen Marvel United, you know that you can get the Kickstarter with all this stuff or buy a nice cheap retail box. I think that they've done a good job of setting that up and creating this product. I'm just wondering if we're not getting some of the best heroes, if that's been saved for X-Men Resistance and all of the heroic stretch goal characters, which might be a lot more fun. I like this version, but I don't think we're necessarily getting the best heroic experience. Now, if you really want to play as the heroes and play, some of your Marvel Zombies content because you got 2-wave shipping like we did, you can definitely pick this up, mix it in. But when it's just coming to a box, if you're already getting X-Men Resistance, unless you want everything for it, I don't necessarily think that this is something that you need to pick up.
Agreed.
All right, Julie, so on that note, I think we're ready to score the game. We talked about the differences. And I want to hear what your final score is going to be. I'm very curious.
I'm honestly going back and forth. I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on it and, judge it for what it is. I had a tendency to want to give it a 6.5 because I'm disappointed versus the other Zombicide games that we've played, or even the Marvel iterations of the zombie games that we've played, the Zombicide games that we played. But I'm going to leave it as a 7, exactly to the point you just said of what the intention of the game was. It is, as you said, entry level, retail, small size, not a table hog, lower price point. It's still lots of fun. Just as you said moments ago, if you're looking for the full out experience, this is not necessarily what you want to go with unless you want all the different versions.
Yes. So I'm going to agree with Julie. This is a 7. It's a solid experience. I was feeling a little bit like her, like maybe this is a 6.5 because not all the heroes are created equal, but that doesn't diminish the mechanics. And it doesn't change the fact that, there's going to be ways for you, if you want, to maybe pick out other content, put some stuff in. Who knows if they're going to expand this out and just maybe flesh it out just a little bit. But for someone that just wants a cheaper Marvel Zombies experience, I think it nails that exactly. I just think that they actually probably should just do Marvel Zombies like Rise of the Zombies or something like that and actually give a retail version with the zombie experience. I guess why they went heroic with this being from Spin Masters, but it's quite clear to me that the system itself was designed more on the zombies with the heroes being taken into consideration, and being a zombie is just more fun in this version so far. So 7, it's solid, but you're not going to be disappointed if you don't add this to your collection.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Marvel Zombies Heroes Resistance, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Now, for those of you that are wondering why the feeds are a little bit more quiet lately, it's been a crazy year for us so far. We are not getting as much stuff to the table, and me being true to my word, we're not bringing in as many games. So a little bit less stuff to share on social media, but still lots of great content for you to go and check out. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, great Canadian game store. Click the link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. It's a great way to support the channel, as a portion of that purchase will be returned to us. If you're trying to get Marvel Zombies, any Kickstarters, the Marvel United Kickstarter, click the link, call the store, check them out. They're a great one. And on that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend and fellow hero. Remind you to keep playing games.